That we're all good. Am I lined up? Am I centered? Yeah, come on. Spin it around a bit. Old white line there, hang on. Not better? Yeah, it is a bit. So just letting the mic center up and settle. I'll catch that in editing. Let's click there, I'm ready to move. So many of us have been taught that we can't be both strong and kind. And so many men get this wrong and think that these qualities actually oppose each other. Stay with me for 10 minutes and I'll show you the exact line between healthy power and toxic power so you never cross it. Okay. So I was shown growing up the tough badge, the type of masculinity that's angry, that's aggressive, that shut other people down, that was power over, not power with. And I've seen that, in my life growing up, break relationships and credibility, and also create walls where you just don't even want to connect with guys like that. And I'm referring to how my father was with me. Strength without care is harm, okay? Or as I like to call it, balls without heart creates calamities in the world, okay? So in this video, I'm going to show you three behaviors that separate healthy from toxic, or as I like to call it, shadow masculinity, and how to repair them and how to repair that line if you have crossed it or if you find yourself crossing it in the future. So a lot of headlines right now are talking about toxic masculinity, like as if all masculinity is broken. And quite frankly, that is lazy thinking. The real problem is not masculinity at all. I mean, if you've heard me before, you'll hear me say, I think the world needs more masculinity right now, not less. The challenge is unintegrated masculinity, or the challenge is courage without compassion, or power with no accountability. Without an integration of head, heart, and balls, and knowing how to work all these things together, that's where the problem arises. Or when we get stressed, we go to one more than the other, or we overuse them. So healthy masculinity is about presence, purpose, and compassion, or I like to call them head, heart, and balls working synergistically together. So toxic masculinity is then the absence of presence, not being fully with someone, not being fully with yourself or connected to the other person's thoughts and feelings, and therefore being able to do horrible things because there's no connection or consideration of the impact. It's action without ethics. It's power over, not power with, and certainly not empathy. So I remember a time in my life when I was having a fight, an argument with a colleague. I was doing computer coding at the time, and he had a suggestion and he was trying to help me actually, and I thought my way was right. I didn't want to listen. He was trying to help me. I wasn't listening, and in the end I raised my voice and I stormed off. And it was in an open plan office, so that cost me not only the relationship with him but a lot of credibility, a lot of influence. I later came back and apologized, and I said, look, I spoke out of line. I shouldn't have raised my voice. I shouldn't have stormed off. I get that you were just trying to help. I was out of line. And as a result, he helped me. And in fact, he knew better than I did. His suggestion was really helpful. And that humility was able to build the bridge that my, just outburst of aggression broke. So the three behaviors I see that are causing the most problems are the use of force, number one, versus the use of influence. Too much balls without a consideration. Okay, so this is intimidation, my way or the highway, yelling, or even gaslighting, undermining other people's opinions to try and win. Healthy masculinity will have a firm decision, a clear boundary, a calmly and clearly expressed boundary, and a persuasive sense of clarity. Not because they're trying to manipulate you, but because they're so clear, you can understand what they mean and you can get on board with it if you want to, right? The second behavior I see is, why is this not working? Okay. The second behavior I see is silence or withdrawal versus emotional presence. So the heart's either open and available or it walls itself off. So the toxic sign is to either shut themselves down or try and shut the other person down. So contempt or just withdrawing and walling away. So you can't access the person, you can't feel their presence anymore because they've walled off. The healthy sign is being able to name a feeling, own mistakes and repair harm, because look, we do make mistakes, we do lose our temper sometimes, we do get anxious and stressed, and when we do, we say, think and do things that we don't really mean, right? So we have to be able to have a healthy way of repairing them. The third behavior I see, why is this not working? Why are you not working? Okay. The third behavior I see is a self-centered sense of status versus service and contribution. So the toxic sign is using dominance for ego. It preserves who I think I am, who I think I should be, who I need to be seen to be, rather than what would add the most value right now. What's going to be the best for everyone in this situation? How can I protect others? How can I build a legacy, right? So when we are in that toxic shadow state, we're only thinking, we can't see past ourselves. When we're in a healthy state, we can see ourselves, we can see others, and we can see many other possibilities of a way through. So quick micro test, right? We can find there's a few little micro tests to see how well you're doing with this. Okay, so test number one: after a conflict, do people come back to you or do they avoid you? Okay, so think about it. If they avoid you, it's likely that you've used too much force and you're communicating, I'm not approachable, I'm not welcoming, I'm not warm, I'm not friendly. Test number two: do you apologize with words that repair or with qualifiers? So, oh, if I offended you, I was just having a bad day, right? As opposed to, I'm sorry, I spoke out of turn. That's not acceptable. Okay. And third test: do you ask, how can I help? How can I add the most value? What would be the best thing to do right now? What's going to, be the most, creative, synergistic, cohesive solution? Or do you like, who's right? Or how can I prove myself? Okay. I know it sounds obvious, but track it, because it's not just what we do consciously, but it's what we do when we get under stress. And if we can start practicing ahead of time when we're well and clear and focused, when we come under stress, we're going to have more of an embodied sense of purpose and we're going to be more aligned. So, three practical things you can do to start to shift this. Number one is pausing. So, pause means stop, breathe, take a moment. If you can pause for like 2 to 5 seconds, that's often enough to disengage an emotional trigger and stop you from saying or doing something that you'd later regret. The second thing you can do once you've paused is go, I'm feeling angry or anxious or stressed or overwhelmed or confused, whatever it is, just name it. The moment that we become aware of what's going on and start to acknowledge it and accept it for what it is without trying to change it, just to be with where we are, it starts to change anyway. If we start to avoid it, judge it, make it wrong, blame it, it does not, and it lasts longer. The second shift is speak to have impact, not to harm, right? So the way we speak to have impact is when something happened, I felt this. So I need this. I'm asking for this. Okay. Because all of that is clear, it's owned, it's actionable. Okay. I haven't blamed anyone. So when I use I language, I think, I feel, I need, I request, when that happens, oh, there's no blame. It's all about you. You've shared your inner world in a clear and concise way. And as a result, people can work with that. Okay. And it moves the conversation out of blame into repair. Okay. And the third shift is to think about your legacy. Think about serving first and your status second. And what I mean by that is I'm a huge fan of healthy selfishness, okay, which means I have a healthy desire to put myself first or include myself. But I know that I've cultivated in myself the questions like, how can I add the most value? What would love do now? What's the gift I can offer? So I know when I show up, those things are showing up too, okay? So we want you to think about your legacy. So what do you want people to say, when you die? I know that sounds far-fetched, but if you can start bringing that into your daily actions, you build legacy with everything you do. So simple things you can do are build others up around you. Like, pick one person today that you're going to go and give an honest and sincere compliment to, and watch what happens when you're in your power and your authority and you compliment someone else. When you build other people around you, it has a net positive effect. It builds incredible momentum. And so what we're teaching and what as men we're showing other men is that real power is earned by contribution. It's not claimed by force, okay, but it's your natural inherent nature, but it has to be activated, it has to be embodied, it has to be owned, it has to be practiced, and this is one way of doing it. So some common misconceptions are, you'll be weak if you soften. I hear this one a lot. Not true. Strength and boundaries and compassion can coexist. Boundaries that are communicated clearly and kindly preserve your power. They don't weaken you at all. Another one here is like, people will walk all over me. Not true. Not if your boundaries are clear. Just because you're open and you're available to other people's thoughts and feelings doesn't mean you're at their behest. You still have agency. You still have choice, but you're also open and flexible and considerate, because sometimes, like my friend trying to help me with the code, someone else's idea might get you to your outcome faster, right? Or more efficiently, or with more fun, or more joy, or more ease, right? So these boundaries are still non-negotiable. They're just delivered with clarity, not cruelty. And then, this idea of this openness is avoiding short-term fights, and it builds legacy, and it builds long-term relationships. It builds momentum and respect, and these things that only enhance our power and our authority. So, a quick 2-minute practice you can do to action this every day. The first thing is to start noticing what's triggering you, what's activating you, what's making you tense or get defensive. Okay. If my single biggest bit of emotional advice to every person on the planet is notice how and when you defend yourself from pain and find a way to bring yourself back. If you can do that one skill, so many of your relationships and stresses and challenges will improve. Second thing is to notice a trigger. Where do you feel it in your body? It has a body trigger. It has a embodied somatic cue. Notice where that is, because once you start to practice noticing in your body and putting your attention on it, number one, when you attend to it, it changes anyway. The second thing is you start to notice, oh, I felt that feeling in my body, and you start to know what it means, and you don't have to think about things so much. You feel them and sense them, and then you get more embodied and integrated. Second thing is, so we notice what we feel, where we feel it. You can practice, oh, I'm feeling this. What do I need? What am I asking for? And the more we practice this with ourselves, the more we can do it with others. And therefore, the better our relationships get. And also, the clearer our communication is, and also the more power and authority we have, because we're more authentic and more clear. And then the third thing is to pause with it. So pause, breathe, notice your tone, when you're speaking, and aim for a calm and steady delivery as much as you can. So if you want to get more information about this, watch my video on defining healthy masculinity. So it's got a practical blueprint in there, which is super helpful. It's got daily rituals for presence, purpose, and compassion. Comment below which myth maybe about masculinity you resonated the most, which one you believe. Type them in the caps. I'm really looking forward to reading those. I'll pin some of the best ones, or maybe I'll even do a video about some if there are really juicy ones in there. And then if you're liking this type of content and you want to integrate these practices more and get ahead more quickly, my Instant Authority core curriculum course gives us 25 videos, 25 worksheets to really dig into this in a lot more depth. Private Facebook group where I'm on there commenting, coaching people, etc. Have a look. The links below. Would love to have you on board. And I really want you to go away with the sense that you can be powerful and compassionate. And the world needs men who are in their balls and in their heart, who are courageous and considerate, who are strong and wise. Okay, so I really want you to learn this line of healthy and shadow masculinity. Practice the pause, lead with care, watch out for that line, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.